Hello everyone and welcome back to Cryptid's Combo Corner. Today we're taking a look at a new take on an old deck. Oops All Lands Part 2, now with Shardless Agent, meaning we can go off on turn 3. For those of you who haven't seen it before, Shardless Agent cascades into Tibalt's Trickery, which then casts Primal Surge. And at this point we put our entire deck into play, including at least 20 damage worth of ping deserts. We couple that with a fun Hermit Druid transformational sideboard, and you've got your recipe for a 10 out of 10 spicy meme. So let's see how it plays out. Okay, here we are testing Oops All Lands. We have a Shardless Agent and no combo pieces. That is really all you can ask for in life. So here we have our 3 lands, and we have our Shardless Agent. We can F6 at this point unless we're playing against a deck that we think could interact with us. But here we go. Tibalt's Trickery counters our Shardless Agent and flips a Primal Surge. Yes, we would like to use Primal Surge's ability to put a permanent into play. So you get to put permanents into play until you hit a non-permanent card. At this point, the only 2 non-permanent cards are Tibalt's Trickery and Primal Surge, both of which have been cast. So we get to put our entire deck into play for the low cost of 3 mana. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go until I have about 3 cards left, and then I'll say no. This helps us not deck out in the case of something bad happening. And then I do the work of putting 20 Desert Ping triggers onto the stack. And there you have it. The machine gun is running. And my opponent has died. Okay, so this deck, turn 3 kill, easy. Best deck in the format, right? Well, not quite. Unfortunately, players have interaction in the form of counterspells and silence effects and Lost Legacy type things that mean our turn 3 kill is pretty easily disrupted. So in the face of heavy counterspells and heavy disruption, what we can do is switch things up. We can play Hermit Druid combo instead. So Hermit Druid is a 2-mana creature that says you can mill cards from your deck until you hit a basic land. Our deck has 0 basic lands. That means that we can pay green and tap our 2-mana creature to put our entire deck into our graveyard, except for, of course, 1 card, Blightsteel Colossus, which prevents us from decking. So now that we have our entire deck in our graveyard, what we can do is one of 2 things. I'll show you the first plan because it's what you should probably do first against a counterspell deck. Timeless Dragon in our graveyard comes back uncounterably as a 4/4 zombie dragon. Then that will trigger these Bladewing's Thralls, which come back as 3/3 flying zombies. And now we have enough creatures to cast a Hogaak once by tapping these 2 creatures. And if it gets countered, we have enough creatures and cards in the graveyard to cast it again. So let's say that this is the board state. Now we have 0 cards in our library. We are about to die by drawing with 0 cards in our library. Instead, we are going to use this Gigapede to discard a Blightsteel Colossus, which then shuffles back into our library. And then we do not, in fact, die. And now we can attack for lethal with our massive board. But let's say that they have a removal spell for our Timeless Dragon, for example. It's no longer quite lethal. We'll put them to 3 life instead of 0 life. But if they have a removal spell or some sort of instant speed wrath, like Settle the Wreckage, that probably means that they are tapped low enough that they cannot counter this Unburial Rites, which flashes back to bring any creature in our graveyard back to the battlefield. In our case, we're bringing back Angel of Glory's Rise. Angel of Glory's Rise brings back all of the humans. That includes, notably, Azami, Lady of Scrolls, and Laboratory Maniac. Lab Man wins us the game if we draw a card from an empty library, and Azami draws cards. So, together, they win the game. So, if you've been playing this deck and are tired of getting dunked on by all the counter magic and hate cards, I recommend this transformational sideboard, which means you can get dunked on by an entirely different set of hate cards, which, depending on how many people see this video, people may or may not be playing when you play against them. Either way, it's a pretty sweet meme, and I think you have as much fun playing it as I have brewing it. Until next time, happy brewing.